So this product, it's called Best Daily Ever, and it's based on something called glutathione. And glutathione is a tripeptide, so it's a combination of 3 amino acids, and it is the mother of all antioxidants. So it is a powerhouse. The body manufactures glutathione on its own, but when you're faced with any stresses, whether it's environmental toxins, if you're fighting an infection, you have inflammation in your body, your glutathione levels go down. And so that's where supplementing with a quality glutathione product becomes unbelievably powerful for the body. It's, I look at it as like the next vitamin C. So I've coined the phrase vitamin G, because it is that essential. It is truly essential for optimal health and well-being, especially in today's climate, for adults and for kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as important as vitamin C. So how would you compare the function of each? Where does glutathione shine? What is its function in the body compared to how we use vitamin C?
So vitamin C is an antioxidant. It's a very powerful antioxidant. So, and everybody knows about it. It's kind of a household name, but we all know what vitamin C is. If you're sick, take vitamin C because it really helps your immune system and it can help lower inflammation in the body. Glutathione is even more abundant in the body than vitamin C. It is the mother of all antioxidants. It actually works hand in hand with vitamin C. So in Best Daily Ever, I actually add vitamin C to the formula because they work together. But glutathione is like the master antioxidant. And it also, what's fascinating to me is its role in detoxification. So glutathione, in addition to being like the mother of all antioxidants, it is essential for detoxification in every cell in our body, right? And so it helps to take toxins from the environment and from our own bodies, toxins that damage DNA, damage cells, cause disease, cause chronic health issues, cause periodontitis, all of it. All the toxins that are associated with cavities, and you know all about this. So glutathione helps to take those toxins and rid the body of them. And so it's really, it's a very, very powerful substance. And as I started to talk about it, even to doctors and to pharmacists, I was amazed that most people aren't familiar with it. And I'm like, and the way you would ask kind of how I got started with creating Best Daily Ever in the first place, I was actually hired because I was so passionate about detoxification, and I formulated detox programs for other companies, and I've been using it in my practice. A company that makes glutathione asked me to run a study in my practice using it, and I'm like, okay, I use glutathione in injection form, and at the time I was trying to get patients to take a liposomal form, and patients wouldn't take it because it tastes bad, and there was an issue with compliance, especially with kids with autism and ADHD. Anyway, and so it forced me, because I was hired to research this product, it really forced me to do a deep dive into glutathione beyond what I learned in school, beyond what I'd have even experienced in my practice. And as I did that, I'm like, this is amazing. There are like 80,000 clinical studies on this antioxidant. 80,000. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Like high quality research studies showing the power of this compound. And so then I was invited to give a lecture in London to about 600 healthcare practitioners. And I'm like, okay, so how many of you guys actually use glutathione in your practice, are familiar with it? And it was a fraction of the hands that went up. And it was at that point where when I was there in London, I'm like, okay, that's it. My mission is to make glutathione a household name.
Yeah.
And from there, and that was before COVID hit. COVID hit, I was home, I was homeschooling, doing patient visits at home and all the things. And I was like, that's it. I'm creating a supplement company. I want glutathione to taste good, be accessible to everybody, be extremely high quality, because a lot of glutathione, it's not easy to make in a supplement form because it doesn't get absorbed in the body. And so having a form of glutathione that actually boosts blood levels and is proven to, and that tastes good, and that doesn't have sugar in it, or any of the things that are going to counter the benefits of it.
So you're able to compare blood levels before and after and see that it's actually increasing?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So the form of glutathione that I use is clinically proven through double-blind placebo-controlled studies to boost blood levels of glutathione by 30%, which is pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
Because you don't have to do the injection, which hurts. So there's the ouch factor I took away. The yes factor I took away too, which was this. I feel it was divinely inspired because, like I said, I was at home during COVID. We were all freaked out about COVID, and suddenly I came across a study that showed that glutathione prevents a severe reaction to COVID. And so I created a formula. I've been formulating for the past 20 years. It's like my love. And I created this formula. I sent it off. The manufacturer sent me back the first sample. And I was like, oh my gosh, it tastes amazing. Right off the bat, I didn't have to change it at all. And so it was to me, it was a sign, like called my best friend. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I started sharing the formula with everybody and having kids taste it. They all loved it. It tastes like a pixie stick. And so from that, we created these pixie sticks of this glutathione formula.
That's incredible.
That's the story.
So
blood, sweat, and tears. Here we are.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. So when I'm looking at glutathione, so I think I've told you before, I use it some in my practice, not directly, but I'm recommending it to patients after they've had big procedures done, if they're needing to detox from work that I've done. Whether we're removing those old icky mercury fillings, or they're having sedation, or it's a kiddo who is having to do any kind of sedation, then glutathione is really important. But what I've always been taught is that it is hard to absorb. And so to get over that difficulty in absorption, it's been recommended that we use liposomal glutathione or have it in an IV form. So tell me let's dig in, because I'm super curious as a practitioner. And if somebody can get something that is proven to be absorbable in such an easy to take form, then that really could be a game changer, I think, for any kind of toxic exposure. So tell me a little bit about, I know when I was on your website, you've named or trademarked the form of glutathione. Compare that to liposomal, or is it the same thing? Give me the lowdown.
So similar in terms of absorption and ability to boost blood levels, but it just doesn't taste like liposomal. Is the bottom line. So very comparable, but without the bad taste factor, and in a powdered form, right? So in a powdered form that it tastes like a pixie stick. So that's the uniqueness. Also in the formula, I actually use glycine to sweeten the pixie sticks, and glycine is one of the amino acids in glutathione. So glutathione is a tripeptide. It's a combination of 3 amino acids. One of them is glycine. Mm-hmm. Glycine also feeds the good bacteria in the gut. It helps to increase GABA levels in the brain, so it's a calming amino acid, but it also is sweet, and it helps with the flavoring of the glutathione complex. And so, but from a research perspective, so Dr. Toni, it is very comparable to liposomal in terms of just bioavailability. Clinically, so the thing with glutathione, I've tried different tests with patients over the 2 decades, of testing blood levels, urinary pyroglutamate wasting, all the things. And it's hard there's pros and cons to all the different ways to test. I'm a big fan of clinical results. I always do testing because I'm a dork and I'm analytic, I've got an analytic mind, but at the end of the day, it has to be paired with, is this stuff really working at the end, with my patients?
Do patients feel better?
Clinically, this product works really, really well. So I've used this form of glutathione in my practice. Since I got hired to research it, I started using it, and my patients have given me a lot of feedback. We're now collecting all these video testimonials, and just hearing the testimonials, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to take Best Daily Ever, because it's really the clinical feedback is profound for all different types of conditions. I mean, even the newest one, I wasn't marketing the product for things like menopause, but I use it with my patients who, are going through that perimenopause and menopausal phase, for example, and it helps with clearance of hormones. And so it helps to offset that experience by a lot. And I have some women who don't want to take either bioidentical hormones, or they just don't want to go the hormonal route. And they have found that as long as they stay on the glutathione, they're good. They're fine.
So what do you mean when you mean clearance of hormones? Are you talking like estrogen dominance type of stuff, and it's helping with the symptoms of that?
100%. And it supports liver detoxification. Your liver is your main organ involved in helping to balance your hormone levels. Mm-hmm. It's essential. So even if you take like bioidentical hormones or whatever hormones, it's not just you taking them, but how is your body clearing them from your system so that you don't get too much of one hormone and too little of another. It's all about balance.
Right. Oh, I love that. Love it. Okay, so perimenopause and menopausal symptoms. What are some other ways that this would be benefit? I mean, it sounds like it would kind of like vitamin C. Like there's nobody who wouldn't benefit some from it. But what are those areas where you're like, okay, people with these issues really could use the extra support?
Yeah. So just with your profession, what you do, which thank you for educating people about like the importance of overall health and nutrition and all these things as it relates to dental health. It's so important, you know. But in spirit of that, when you have inflamed gums, for example, that you've got an oxidative process going on. Right, so there's these free radicals that are, whether it's from bacteria, usually it's bacterial, right, that's kicking off these
Yes.
free radicals, toxins.
Yep.
Well, glutathione is the mother of all antioxidants. So glutathione binds to those toxins and renders them inactive. So it helps to lower that inflammation. You know, and from a preventive perspective, right, if there's like, you have a bacterial overgrowth happening, if you're taking glutathione, it's helping to keep all of that at bay. And so that's really important. I'm really passionate about brain health, cognitive health in children and adults. So in children challenged with things like ADHD, or if they're on the spectrum, etc. One of the fascinating things to me is glutathione crosses the blood-brain barrier, right? So it gets into the brain, and your body, your brain cells have mitochondria. Mitochondria are a powerhouse of your cells. It's what makes energy in the form of ATP. Well, glutathione is housed there. So glutathione is manufactured in the mitochondria of the cells in your brain.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly, it's also manufactured in the mitochondria of all the cells in the 30 plus trillion cells in your body. But in the brain, for some reason, there's less glutathione that's manufactured there. And it's one of the reasons why the brain is more vulnerable to toxins that leads to neuroinflammation, inflammation in the brain. That leads to
Interesting.
and May is Mental Health Awareness Month, you know, and so I'm talking a lot about how that triggers things like depression, anxiety, but then things like attention deficit disorder, you know, dopamine excess, etc., cognitive decline, long COVID, right? So because the brain is more vulnerable to toxins, because it has less glutathione in the mitochondria to protect from those toxins, that's where glutathione can have a very, very important effect. And, you know, people will say, well, but glutathione's made in your body, so why do you need to take it?
Yeah.
Our bodies can only adapt so far, you know, so much. And our bodies haven't adapted to the volume of toxins that we're exposed to on a day-to-day basis, whether it's through the poor quality of foods that we have to consume, to the air we're breathing, the viruses we're exposed to, you name it. You know, we haven't adapted to that. And so our glutathione levels go down. So that's where I'm a big believer in working with the body. You know, this is a way to give the body what it needs so it can heal itself.
I love that. Love it, love it. And I wonder, so I did not realize that we have less glutathione made in the brain than in other parts of the body, which is huge. We talk a lot about different neurotoxins that we're exposed to, and the fatty tissue in the brain tends to hold on to some of those toxins more. And so how cool that, you know, you can hopefully support what our body is trying to do on its own and help rid those really sensitive areas that like to hold on to toxins in the first place, like mercury, fluoride, and help the body process those and get rid of them, right?
Yeah, and glutathione is one of the best ways to detoxify your body from mercury.
For sure.
It's a great heavy metal detoxifier. And you know, this was years ago when I was first really diving into all of this. You know, if you look at the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cells, it's where the DNA is housed, right? And that's where free radicals tend to congregate, right where the DNA is housed. So when you talk about DNA damage, and now we know so much more about RNA and all these other things, but at a very rudimentary level, DNA, you know, damage occurs when those free radicals are congregating right there. And that's where glutathione is made. And so glutathione's right there to help protect the body from those free radicals and protect from cellular damage.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So we taught, let's see, half of my questions were about detox, and you're doing good. You were covering it before I even could ask you about it.
It's so huge. I mean, it's like,
it is really huge. So what would you think would be, or you may even have objective data on this already, like say for instance, somebody is about to have surgery and wants to kind of boost up their natural levels of glutathione before that surgery to help them come through it with ease, recover faster, how long would you say they would need to be on a supplement regimen to be able to get their levels up to an optimal level?
So that it's every body is different, right? So it depends on what your original stores of glutathione are, you know, what you're exposed to, kind of your state of health going into the surgery. But and also I always tell everybody, even my patients, you know, if you're going into surgery, I will go with whatever the surgeon says in terms of what supplements to take or not take before and after. And every surgeon is different, you know. Some surgeons I'll be like, I'm not giving you any supplements, you know, for this particular surgery. You're going to be under for quite a while, etc. And the surgeon will be like, no, you can get, you know, your nutrient injections and supplements, no problem, it's fine. And then other surgeons say, hey, 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after, nothing. So anyway, I always say, you know, always defer to your surgeon in 100%. Terms of, you know, deciding what you're taking or not taking. But I would give it about a month, Dr. Toni, to really like allow the body to boost its levels, you know, relative to where they are.
Yeah. Okay.